Today, I want to do a really interesting lesson on how to put creativity into background vocals. It's kind of a lost art. It's something that you never stop learning about. There's so many ways to augment a background vocal and make it fit and conform to the needs of the song. It's one of my favorite things to write for. It's very creative. It's very spiritual. The human voice is very spiritual. And there's a lot you can do. Nobody did more, I think, with background vocals in pop music and rock music than Brian Wilson. And what makes a great background vocal? Well, it could be a lot of things. Some background vocals, it's just a little two-part. It's just in sync with the melody. Sometimes you have three-part vocals. The Beach Boys would do 5-part, sometimes more than that. And the things that make background vocals interesting to me are how do they interface with the lead vocal? In other words, sometimes they're doing the lyrics and the words that the lead vocal are doing, and sometimes it's kind of either echoing it or doing ums or oohs or ahs or mbop, shabop, shabop, shubidoo-wop. There's so many different sounds you can do. Some other elements that make background vocals interesting are counterpoint, so doing a melody that's a different rhythm than the melody. And then also leaving space. Not every background vocal needs to hit every word, and sometimes it goes from an ooh or an ah, and it will hit on one word of the vocal to accent it, and then fall back into oohs or ahs or ums, or there's so many different things you can do. Also, there's things like dynamics, like swells. There's so many things that can make a background vocal interesting. They're hard to record too. Back in the day, if you could actually have 4 or 5 guys and girls, whoever it is, that can practice and harmonize with each other, but these days we're overdubbing. So I'll also go over some tips on how to make that sound better in a modern recording if you're doing it all yourself like I'm doing. So to show you this, what I'm going to do is do something interesting that I don't usually do in my lessons. I'm going to show you a song that I wrote, never released, never did anything with, that has a really intricate background vocal part. This song is kind of cheesy, so please forgive me. I was kind of at the time, it was maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I was just trying to practice writing like songs for the radio. This is probably not dirty enough for the radio. I'd probably need to talk about my fat, wet genitals or something like that. This is more like I don't know, the lyrics cheesy, the melody's kind of cheesy, but it's kind of nice, and it makes for a nice canvas to write, I think, a 6-part background vocal behind it. So let me just dive right in. But first, if you're watching this and are not part of my Patreon, please come join High Castle Conservatory. That's the best way to support my channel that helps me keep doing this. Please make sure to hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, check out my playlist page, which will show you all the categories of videos that you might like the most. So please help me grow here. So I'm going to use a song I wrote called Stay Who You Are. I'm telling you, it's a cheesy song. Bear with me. Don't judge me on the song. I was just practicing writing a cheesy pop song. Well, you're going to say I succeeded, but I think it's kind of a nice melody and all that. Let me play you just the chords. It's in G. It's just some really simple, like G, 1, 6, 4, 1, 6, 5, 4. It's so not my normal, half diminished kind of weird stuff that I usually do with the chords. It's very simple. So this is the lead vocal, the guitar, just an acoustic guitar playing those basic chords, and then the harmony to the lead vocal. And then there's all these other background vocals. And I want to show you what I was thinking on each of those separate background vocal parts so you can start to conceive your own interesting background vocal parts. And I'm telling you, there's no end to this art form. It's one that I don't feel a lot of people really have studied. The only way to do that for me was to study a lot of Brian Wilson, and I'm not saying I'm as great as him. But also the background vocals I write, sometimes they don't sound like Beach Boys songs at all. So there is definitely some Brian Wilson in this, but I don't know what else it is that's influenced my background vocal, but it's that counterpoint, the harmonies, the voicings of the chords, the space in certain parts, the converging on certain words of the lead vocal and the ums and the ahs and fading back into certain sounds together, having dynamic crescendos and decrescendos. All of those things, for me, make an interesting background vocal. So here, let me just show you, without further ado, Stay Who You Are, and I'm going to play the guitar, the lead vocal, and just the vocal harmony. There's a lot more parts than this that I'll show you in a little bit.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, who you are. Just stay the same, don't ever change, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, true at heart.
like a bridge for the chorus.
With that sparkle in your eye, stay who you are, true at heart, that's who you are.
Then it goes to a different key for the verse. Anyway, so there it is. That's pretty much the chorus, even though there's like a bridge to the chorus there, and then back to the chorus. So that's Stay Who You Are, cheesy. There's nothing interesting about the chord change. Let me just go over to it's in G. G is 1, and E minor 6, and C is 4, which goes to 1 of G. 6 is E minor, 5 is D. C is 4, back to 1 of G. Just stay the same. So that's all the same. And then that little bridge thing is G. G. 5 is D. 7. 6 is E minor. Dun, dun, dun. Just super generic chord progression. But yeah, I don't know why this song, why did I think I was writing like a radio hit? I probably wrote this in 2010 or 11. This could be like a One Direction song. It's kind of a little too positive. Like I said, if I were to say something about sweaty genitals or something, I think I might have something here and maybe like turn it minor key. But like having like a positive upbeat kind of like, you're so great, just keep doing that, you're the best. Sometimes one of those songs makes it through, but not that often. But I think One Direction, that boy band, did have some kind of positive-ish songs. So whatever. Let's keep going over this. So yeah, we have just the lead vocal, and you can see right here I triple tracked it. Let me zoom in a little bit. One method, and I'll just disclose some of the how the sausage is made here. You do a lot of triple tracking to get a big fat background vocal sound. You can double track or triple track lead vocals if they're the kind that don't depend on improvisation. Some singers, they just improvise, and trying to get them to, double that or triple that is just going to sound ridiculous. But this melody is relatively straightforward and reproducible and doesn't have a lot of changes to the melody really in real time. The Beach Boys would do stacks of 4 or 5 vocal parts, but the Beatles would do more like a lead vocal, and then the harmony was doing the third. So this thing I'm calling lead, vox, harmony, this is almost more like a Beatles harmony, and I don't have any of the Beach Boys harmonies in yet.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you.
So most of the time you're either doing one or the other. In this case, I don't know why. I'm like, let's do the Beatles style, like a third in the vocal harmony, and then let's also do like a stack of contrapuntal Beach Boys vocals underneath of it, which we'll get to. But even this harmony doesn't do exactly what the lead vocal does. Let's hear it by itself.
Gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, who you are.
It just fits in a little it's just a little variation, but anyway, that's the main part of the chorus. Now, how are we going to build a 5-part harmony underneath of this? So let's try to do, let's build it from the ground up. I'm going to do the bass, and this is my 3 bass parts right here. And what I will do when I'm recording this is I have one called center and normal. So I sing normal, ooh, whatever normal is for me. Then I'll go right of the mic, and I'll go medium far, like 2 fists instead of 1. And then I'll be like the bright guy. I just kind of accent the tone. Like, so bass can be boom, boo-doo-doo, or it could be bum, bow, dow, bow. It'd be just a little more pencil-y, like a doo-wop, bright sound. Then I have a third track that I'll do left and maybe 3 fifths, so I'll call that far. So I'll call that close, mid, far, and the far guy will be a round voice. So I'll go, woo, that's okay, instead of the bright, that's okay. And then you put all those together and you get that space of the microphone distance, because if you're all at the same spot, you're going to multiply the same frequencies of your same voice. And this other way you can play a character, the bright guy. Who you are. And then the round guy, is a little more like this. And the normal, you can just kind of be yourself. So having different characters in different tracks of your background vocals will help your background vocals actually stick out and have some more punch when in the absence of having people actually sing together. You know, these are overdubs. In the old days, it was like they were singing off of each other, and there's something you can't reproduce with that. But anyway, let's check out the bass part of this, Stay Who You Are. So bass parts for me can sound kind of like a bass, and they can sometimes say certain words of the background, but then they can go to oohs and ahs, or you can actually leave spaces in words. Let's hear this bass part. Let me turn off the automation so I can turn these up pretty loud.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are.
So it starts off on gray, and it walks from G major down to E minor. And it goes low G, then it goes up an octave. That's okay. So it doesn't say the sky is gray. It goes gray. That's okay. So I'm latching on to definitely some of those words of the lead vocal, but not all of them.
The sky is gray, but that's okay.
Space.
As long as you stay who you are. As long as
that space, it might not seem like much, but it would be so cheesy if the bass were to keep following those words right
that's
there.
okay. As long as you stay.
So know as long as you. So know where you got to cut out. Let's listen to this whole bass part here, because I'll stop interrupting.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are. As long as you stay who you are, who you are. Just stay the same, don't ever change, as long as you stay who you are. As long as you stay who you are, true at heart.
Now the bass goes to some oohs for that chorus bridge.
And I see you walk by with that sparkle in your eye. Stay who you are.
Stay true at heart.
That's who you are.
So you can see from that like certain words we're saying with the vocals, certain times we're leaving space, and certain times we're going to oohs. And for me, it's a process of trial and error, but it also kind of, if you just listen to the lead vocal, you'll kind of hear what pops out. And you can hear I have a mentality of like a bass player a little bit. Gray, that's okay. Boom, who you are, as long as you stay who you are. I'm thinking like a bass. Oh, same, don't ever change. Boom, 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 who you are. So that's how I think of the bass. The bass, you need to imagine, is always independent in some way from the rest of the vocals. It's not that it can't latch on to certain chords or holds, but there's something about bass that is, its very nature is free. Even if there's a bass line in the song too, which there probably will be, the bass can even function somewhat independent of that, even though it's taking that bass line into consideration. But they're not exactly in sync. That would be cheesy. So let's listen to that bass line just one more time here.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are. As long as you stay who you are, who you are. Just stay the same, don't ever change, as long as you stay who you are. As long as you stay who you are, true at heart. And I see you walk by with that sparkle in your eye. Stay who you are.
So that's what I'm talking about with the, when I said dynamics, that's what that little ooh ah is a crescendo on the ooh ah. It's the most basic thing you can do with the background vocals is an ooh that morphs into ah, but it's something you got to do. You just got to do it where it fits, and here it seemed to fit.
And I see you walk by with that sparkle in your eye. Stay who you are.
Stay true at heart. So that's counterpoint right there. Stay true at heart. Listen to how that comes out of it.
Your eye. Stay who you are. Stay true at heart.
It's different than the lead vocals. You are true at heart. But here it's
You are. Stay true at heart. That's who you are.
changes keys there for the bridge.
Remain
The song is really cheesy. I'm sorry, but so that's the bass part. So far we have 3 parts, even though I'm considering the lead vocal and that harmony, that sort of Beatles style third that does occasionally hit an ooh or something, but mostly is in sync with the lead vocal being like in their own world over here. And now the 5, how many parts are there? Let's see. Bass, then I call it tenor right there. Then I call it alto. Then I call it soprano. So really only 4 parts. I usually do more than that, but I guess that bass, tenor, alto, soprano. A lot of times I have a second soprano, but in this case it does have that other harmony. So in reality, if you include the lead vocal, it's 1, 2, 6-part harmony, which is kind of strange. I didn't set out and say, let me write a 6-part harmony. Sometimes I just keep filling in parts, and like it's a pretty how do you say this, intuitive process. You have to practice this stuff and get better at it. So let's say, what would our next part be? The tenor. So let me give you a little hint here. Is most of the time the tenor it starts at the octave up, so it's not like it does a third or a fifth of that G. A lot of times it just goes from the low note up an octave, and then it builds its chord off there. All right, so now let's listen to the next part. I'll put it kind of loud compared to the bass and the lead vocal. So this is what I'm calling the tenor. So it's gonna be the tonic, and I swear most of the time I write my 5 or 6-part vocals, it's a low note that's on like the low bass fundamental. In this case, it's G, and then the next part starts up an octave, and then I kind of start building chords from there. So here is that tenor part.
It's great, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are. As long as you stay who you are, who you are. Just stay the same, don't ever change, as long as you stay who you are.
So kind of like the bass part, it's hitting a lot of the notes of the lead vocal and a lot of the words, but it also is leaving a couple important spaces.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are. As long as you stay who you are, who you are. Just stay the same, don't ever change, as long as you stay who you are.
So what it's doing, the sky is, instead of gray in the melody, the sky is gray, gray, but that's okay, stay who you are. Does that make sense? So it'd be like, the skies, and they just come in on gray.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are. As long as you stay who you are, who you are. Just stay the same, don't ever change, as long as you stay who you are. As long as you stay who you are, true at heart.
Ooh, then it goes.
Walk by with that sparkle in your eyes. Stay who you are. Stay true at heart. That's who you are.
So yeah, there's a whole bunch going on in that tenor part. And if I put it there, I had it really loud. And let me turn it to like a normal volume. I'll turn the automation back on, which will turn it down. You can see the faders respond right there.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are. As long as you stay who you are.
Sounds good.
Who you are.
So in there where we have our lead vocal, our harmony to the lead vocal, then our bass, and now this is our tenor. So let's see what the alto sounds like. A lot of times I will say that you have the bass, which is relatively independent on the bottom, and then you have some middle parts, an alto and a tenor and an alto, sometimes a tenor and alto and a second soprano. That's kind of like the meat of the sandwich. And then the soprano gets the similar rules that the bass does, that they can get away with a different part, and it converges on certain notes and certain words, but it can also float on top and be slightly independent, kind of like a doo-wop soprano vocal that's floating on top of the rest of the harmonies. So let's hear the alto. I'm going to turn that way up and still leave the other ones in.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, who you are.
Goes with the oohs and ahs.
Same, don't ever change, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, true at heart.
Going into the bridge, it did a little melody there.
As long as you stay who you are,
here,
true at heart.
oohs and ahs, crescendo.
That sparkle in your eye. Stay who you are, stay true at heart. That's who you are.
So yeah, it has this almost like it's abstract quality, the way that the background vocals, if you're to go through each one, they do certain parts together and then they kind of go off onto their own, but some of these ones in the middle, the sandwich part, the meat part, will be together while the parts on the bottom and the top. I know I keep saying that, but it's true, and it's you can say it a million times, but writing for it is actually really hard.
The sky is gray, but that's okay.
It's gray, okay. That's a weird melody.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, who you are. Just stay the same, don't ever change, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, true at heart. And I see you walk by with
and ahs.
sparkle in your eyes. Stay who you are, stay true at heart. That's who you are.
So yeah, that would be the alto part. And yeah, I mean, what if you just heard like what if we take out the leads and the bass and you just hear these middle two parts together? That'd be kind of cool. So I'm going to turn off the bass. So like if I turn off the automation, it'll not be how loud I told it to be, and it'll just let me turn it up if I just want to demonstrate the part. Then when I wanted to merge into the part, I put back on automation and it goes back to the volume I'd set it to. So here's just the middle two parts, the tenor and the alto.
Great, that's okay. Stay who you are. Stay who you are. Who you are. Same, don't ever change. Stay who you are. Stay who you are. True at heart. Ooh, ah, true at heart. That's who you are.
Yeah, so hopefully that makes some sense, that these vocals are all related, but they're all having their own identity within that. And to me, that's what makes a great background vocal. And this might be a cheesy song, but I do think this is one of the best background vocals I've made. It just really complements that lead vocal. It lets certain notes pop out, certain things turn to crescendo ooh-ahs, other things are slightly counterpoint, but not so much that it distracts the ear. So the last thing is, let's hear that soprano, which, as I said before, like the bass, can be relatively independent sometimes, although it can obviously converge on certain words. I think I've used converge too many times in this video. I'll try not to anymore. But confluence, come together. I mean, there's probably a lot of words. So let's turn on the soprano and let's turn off the automation so I can turn up the, you can hear the part. The only way for me to get this part heard is to just kind of blast it.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, who you are. Just stay the same, don't ever change, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, true at heart.
And
I see you walk by with that sparkle in your eye. Stay who you are, stay true at heart. That's who you are.
Would have been cool if on that counterpoint soprano vocal, I instead of go ooh, said stay who you are. Maybe I do that at the end. I can't remember because there's this whole like fade out up a half step. I'll play it for you at the end, and we'll hear if it does that stay who you are. Because here it just goes ooh, ooh.
As you stay who you
Right here. There's no words on the
As long
soprano.
as you stay who you are, who you are. Just stay the same, don't ever change, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, true at heart. And I see you walk by with that sparkle in your eye.
Row on the
Stay
ah.
who you are, stay true at heart. That's who you are.
All right, so I could have gone through what notes of the chord they're hitting, but you just kind of got to figure it out. Like I said, the bass is down there. It's such a that's okay, and the that's so. They even converge there for a second, the tenor and the bass. But I just wanted you to get an idea of the syllables and the way you use the lead vocal to inspire the syllables and the sounds, and when the background vocals are hitting with the lead vocal, and when they're going either contrapuntal to it, or when they are doing some kind of echo of it. I guess that kind of would be a counterpoint. Or when they're breaking off into oohs and ahs or other sounds, or leaving space. Those things are all important to a good background vocal. So let's hear what these all sound like together. And I'll turn those automation on in the sopranos, and there should be a decent mix of this, I think, of the balance. So check this out. Here's all of it together.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, who you are. Just stay the same, don't ever change, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, true at heart. And I see you walk by with that sparkle in your eye. Stay who you are, stay true at heart. That's who you are.
Yeah, I know. I've said it before. It's cheesy, but it's nice too. It's a nice demonstration of what a 6-part vocal could be. You know, you could call it the lead and the harmony plus 4 extra parts, but in reality it's 6 parts. And the 2 lead vocal and its harmony are kind of together. The bass is kind of independent. The soprano's kind of independent. And then the middle, the tenor and the alto, are pretty much together with, I think, a couple exceptions. There's space, there's different sounds, oohs and ahs, there's dynamics. This is I think one of the better background vocal parts I've written, and I hope this helps you, figure out how to add interesting vocals into your, because you could listen to my discography, and I can tell you my background vocals 20 years ago were not that great. If you listen starting 10 years ago, they started to get a lot better. What happened? I studied a lot of Brian Wilson. That's what I did. And it doesn't mean, you can see this does not sound like the Beach Boys. It really is way cheesier than the Beach Boys.
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are.
So that does not sound like the Beach Boys, but it is very much inspired by the principles I learned of learning their background vocal parts. So last thing I'm going to do here is play for you the outro of this song, which I think is up in A flat. Let's see, or does it go up to A?
The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay.
And does the soprano this time stay the lyrics?
As long as you stay who
No, it doesn't.
you are, who you are. Just stay the same, don't ever change, as long as you stay.
Slows down
who
to.
you are, as long as you stay who you are, true at heart. The sky is gray, but that's okay, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, who you are.
I think I did it that time.
Just stay the same, don't ever change, as long as you stay who you are, as long as you stay who you are, true at heart.
Yeah, I hope you got a lot out of that lesson, and please come join my Patreon High Castle Conservatory if you are not a member already. Thanks a lot for watching this video and taking an interest in my channel. Please help me reach a larger audience by hitting subscribe below and ringing the notification bell. Check out my video playlist page to find the categories that most interest you. Leave me a super thanks here on YouTube, and even better, come join my Patreon. Please consider buying music for my original projects I.S.S. and High Castle Teleorchestra. Also, don't forget to sign up for my email list on the front page of timsmolens.com. You can find information about all of those things in the description below. Thanks again.